Welcome to a special edition of Lagnapod. I'm Rob Holbert, one of the publishers of Lagna. I'm here with Kyle Hamrick, our city reporter.
Howdy.
And we have a special guest today, Connie Hudson, a Mobile County Commissioner who is running for mayor of Mobile. Thank you, Connie, for coming in and talking with us today. I'm glad that you are doing this. It's give us an opportunity to ask some questions and let you expand a little bit, because I know a lot of these the debates and some of the other things y'all have done, there's a lot of time limits on it, and it's a little tough sometimes to get your answers in. And so hopefully this will give folks an opportunity to hear full thoughts about these subjects. We'll go ahead and start. The mayor's job is an incredibly busy one. What made you desire to do this job, and what makes you the best candidate?
Honestly, I love this city. It's been good to me and to my family, and I want to make sure, I'm determined to make sure that Mobile lives up to its greatest potential, and I don't think we're there yet, Rob. We've got a lot of challenges, and I think that my years of experience with the city and then the county altogether, I think gives me unique abilities and skill sets and an opportunity to step in and to really make a difference. The city of Mobile is the economic hub. It's the cultural hub of our whole metropolitan area. And the health and vitality of the city affects all areas, the area that I represent now on the county commission. So it has a far-reaching effect, the health of our city, and I want to make sure that we're the best we can be.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and you've already touched on the fact, you've got a lot of years of service to the county. You've been in office longer than anybody else in the race. What are some of your biggest accomplishments that you look back on from your time in office?
I think what I am most proud of is the relationships that I have built with constituents, with neighborhood groups, with community organizations, nonprofits, with fellow elected officials, because that is the key. Relationships are the key to getting anything done. Whether you're in government or business or wherever you are, you have to be able to work with other people. You have to be able to inspire and help organize and manage projects along with the help of people. So I think that because of those relationships, I've been involved in a number of economic development initiatives with Team Mobile, with Airbus, Austal, all of the big global industries and small businesses as well. I mean, the small businesses are the backbone of the economy in our community. I mean, we can't ignore small business. And so I think that those relationships, the big projects that I've worked on with quality of life, recreation, sports, mental health is another area that is very important to me that I have been very involved with. Recycling, beautification, animal shelter, all of those things, are high on my priority list and front burners for me. But there again, it's relationship building and working with people to get things done.
Okay, good deal. I know we've talked a lot about crime in this race, and I'm trying to just front load it here on crime, and we'll move on to some other things. But crime has been the number one topic in this race. Even as statistically, most crime the city tracks are at near 10-year lows. But it seems much of the public's perception of Mobile having a crime problem is shaped by the issue of young men primarily, shooting one another or at one another and hitting others over personal grievances. How do you envision making a difference in this specific problem over the first year or two of your term as mayor?
Well, perception is reality. Yeah. And I think probably because of what people read, what they see on the news in the evenings, every night, the shootings, and it primarily involves young people under the age of 25. I think we do have a youth gun violence problem in our community and a high crime problem in general. I see us And I say returning because during the days that I was on city council between 2001 and 2010, we were much more focused on neighborhood policing. You remember Fred Richardson, beat by beat, street by street? Mm-hmm. Well, it was that was the primary focus. We've sort of gotten completely away from that, more into intelligence-led policing. Okay. And that's not a bad thing that we have that, but we have to. I think it has to work in conjunction with community-based policing, and that means having having a presence of law enforcement on our streets, in our neighborhoods, our parks, and building relationships in the community. When you have officers, in neighborhoods and people know them and get to know them and build relationships and trust, I think it sends a strong message to the community, but also it deters crime. When criminals are seeing that presence in neighborhoods, they tend to want to stay away from there.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, when you talk about it, and you're getting to that, I think, to that point, some of the specific things, but when we look at that particular issue, I mean, some of these shootings are occurring in very public places,
right,
sometimes where police are nearby or whatever. But I mean, specifically, what would police be doing differently under your leadership to reduce or stop these random shootings like the one that took place downtown a couple weeks ago, or the one at Sage Park last year that happened in front of a couple hundred people?
Well, I think another thing we need to focus on is building the #1 juvenile crime division really in the state.
Okay.
We are going to have to focus on juvenile crime, gang activity, and with the personnel, we're going to have to add personnel. There's no two ways about it. I don't know exactly how many, but I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 100 officers. We'll have to see where we are with our special units and reassignments and that sort of thing. But if that is our focus, if that is where we're focusing our manpower and our efforts and our intelligence-led policing, and we know where those hot spots are, we go after them. We're aggressive. We're proactive. We have to be proactive in this process. And when you send the message to that segment of the community that they're not going to just get away with it. Right now, we have 40,000 warrants on misdemeanors that are just sitting there. They're not even being followed up on. So, what kind of message does that send to people? We can no longer do that. We have to send the message that we're going to have a zero tolerance for any type of crime in our community, and it's going to take a while to get this under control. But I think if we take these steps, then we can certainly move the needle.
Does some of that mean, do we need more judges? Do we need more? I mean, some of the framework of taking care of these things. You mentioned, all these warrants that are loose. I mean, people are out on bond for 3 and 4 years before they go to jail. Sometimes, before they go to trial, not jail. But do you envision? I know the mayor can't directly affect that, but I mean, how do you see that part of the structure working?
I think taking a leadership role, being proactive in lobbying, whether we need to be lobbying the administrative office of courts for more funding and we certainly need to do that if we're going to start addressing these warrants and other initiatives that we haven't been following up on, then it's we've got a pipeline there that we've got to deal with to make sure that things that are moving along and are being handled appropriately and in a time sensitive manner. I mean, people have a right to make sure that when crimes occur and they're arrested, that they see their day in court.
And then fast forwarding to about 10 or 20 years down the road, what will the city of Mobile look like because of initiatives that you plan to implement?
Well, my vision is that Mobile be a safe community where people feel that their families are safe to be in neighborhoods, in parks, wherever they go, that they have that sense of safety and stability, that we are thriving, prosperous, economically strong, that we have continued job opportunities, but not only job opportunities, that we have workforce development opportunities, because that's part of it. We have a pipeline for young people coming out of school, high school, whether it's signature academies or moving into apprenticeships, but we need to expand those to make sure that we have the workforce available for these jobs that we're recruiting. And so that will be something that the future, I believe, that we can expand on and improve in the future. And I think that my goal is to improve, and I know it's an umbrella term, quality of life, but it involves a lot of things. It involves dealing with homelessness, mental health, affordable, attainable housing. If we're recruiting people to Mobile to live here, then they have to have a housing in all spectrum of costs, for to make sure that everyone
different price ranges,
that suits everyone's ability to be able to afford homes, and also public transportation. We've got to work out a long-term comprehensive plan that's cost efficient, because we have, as a community, we have to have public transportation if we intend for people to work and to help benefit our local economy. So those are the kind of things it's the details. Devil's always in the details, and the details are the challenges that we need to overcome and improve. And I think when we do those things, we'll see organic improvements in the community. Ultimately, I want people, when they come here, to say Mobile is the place to live. Now, because of perceptions or reality, however you want to look at it, with crime, with education, with blighted areas, and the issues that any city deals with, people are inclined to want to live elsewhere outside of the city of Mobile. Well, I want them to consider Mobile is their number one choice. That is my goal.
I mean, you're kind of around this on the subject, but how do we draw young people back into the city? Folks like my kids who've gone off to college and are living elsewhere, and I'd love for them to come back here. But how do you get those folks to come back?
Well, I think there again, that umbrella quality of life. First of all, there's got to be plentiful job opportunities, whether it's in industry or business. If we want to encourage entrepreneurship, young people starting business or moving here, because people can live anywhere these days, and so many people work from home, and but we want them to be centered here, and I have young, my children too. I'd love for them to come back. Well, I got one, but I'm working on two more. Of course, one's in the Navy, and he doesn't make that decision. But anyway, and I think there again, Rob, quality of life. Things that I have been working on for so many years. If we are going to compete with particularly other urban areas of the state, then we have to provide the kind of amenities that those areas have, and we see all around us, even smaller communities adding. They understand the importance of sports plexes and things like that that I have been, as talking about for a very long time.
You've been busy on that, and that's been a big thing.
And and the excitement in the community, because when families move here and they want arts, they want culture, they want music festivals, they want fun things for the families to do. Maybe even our water park we're talking about. As a draw. Any of this is attractive. All these things are attractive. Whatever we can do to be an attractive community is what we need to do, because that's what young families are looking for opportunities, primarily for their children too.
How do you think the arena plays into that, the new arena?
Well, I think that the arena is going to offer a lot of opportunities for concerts, sporting events. I guess ice hockey is going to be the new thing now.
So as mayor, you would be very supportive of this.
I am going to be the biggest cheerleader. Whether it's a moot point, whether I would have done anything differently at this point in the game. We have invested heavily in this project, and I will do everything in my power to make sure it is very successful.
Gotcha. Okay.
Awesome. And how do you see Mobile taking advantage of the advent of AI, both from a governmental standpoint and from a community standpoint?
Well, I think it offers a lot of opportunities that we have not had in the past and I mentioned intelligence-led policing is one very important area, but in helping to compile information that I think will benefit our community in a lot of ways. And some of that, we're going to have to discover, so to speak, when I'm in office. But I think we need to utilize every tool at our disposal to put our city ahead, to be able to make sure that, because we're competing and we want to be successful.
Okay.
Absolutely. And kind of, moving on to education, what are your thoughts about the education currently being provided by the Mobile County Public School System?
Well, I think, and this is something that I've seen over the years, because that's how I got my start in really public service, was as a volunteer with education. Because at that time, we didn't have nearly enough facilities. We had children going to starting lunch waves at 9:30 in the morning because there were so many children in portable classrooms and only one cafeteria, of course. So I think that we have all got to work together. I think there again, collaboration is important. The city doesn't have direct jurisdiction or authority over the school system, but as the education system goes, so does the city of Mobile. So it is incumbent on us to do everything within our power in working with the school board, and there again, relationships, and our superintendent, Cressel Threadgill. Looking forward to, in fact, we're setting up a meeting to get together and figure out ways that we can expand educational opportunities and work together, whether it's applying for grants for pre-K programs or after-school initiatives, with the mentoring and in other enrichment kind of programs for young people. But I think that there's disparity. People see a lot of disparity. We have some great schools, and the achievement levels are very high. And then there are those who are struggling. Yeah. And I think that those are the ones that we really have to focus efforts and attention on, because we want to bring them all up and have all of our schools doing well with achievement tests and studies. And I think that there again, it's how you go about it and the people you work with to try to make that happen. But I see great opportunity.
Okay. Right. Would you support forming a city school system to kind of, get the schools the way that you'd kind of like to see them?
At this point in time, I would say that is something that I would that I'm going to move toward doing. I think that we need to work with the school system and have more of a role in the opportunities there to make things successful, and I think that would be the better move on behalf of the city of Mobile.
I mean, typically over the years, we've really not seen the mayor engage publicly with the school system, when maybe there's things that aren't going well. Would you be more outspoken in that regard?
I think I will be more collaborative, and if there's something I need to say, I'm not going to hold back. Yeah. But I think you get a lot more done whenever you're willing to work together and not point fingers and blame, but have a greater role, have a more authoritative role, so to speak. And a lot of times that comes with help, with the help. Or resources that you can help provide, whether it's putting police officers as resource officers in schools. That is another area. I mean, we have to have safe schools. Right. We want children, teachers, we want administrators, and we want parents to feel that while their children are at school, that they're in a very safe environment. Right. And they're also building relationships with police officers there too. So there's a plethora of ways that I think we can work together, but we've got to sit down and brainstorm and come up with some ideas and see what we can do. And I am more than willing to do that.
Okay. As mayor, let's see. Sorry, I have it. With the airport coming online next year, what does it need in order to be successful? Where do you see the airport in your administration?
Well, I think that there again, there's a lot of opportunities with the airport moving. We're going to have to work with the airport authority because I think it really it comes down to fares and
it seems
carriers.
It seems like that to me.
It seems to be the bottom line there. I think accessibility is extremely important, but it's a combination of accessibility and the cost, and so. But I fully support it, and I stand ready to work with the airport authority in getting it completed. I think the city has invested heavily. The county has invested.
Right.
It's an in-kind contribution, with infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
But we're all very heavily invested, and we're going to make it successful.
When you look at it at this point, I mean, I know it's been delayed a little bit, but so far when we've had discount carriers, low-cost carriers come in here, we have not really supported them to the level to keep them around. Does that concern you at all as you look forward to, the airport coming online, or do you think that there's more out there? How are we not keeping these things here?
I think that is the big question. It seems to be a rather fickle, with the coming and going, and no sooner do we celebrate somebody a new carrier.
The billboard goes up and they're gone. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember one of them. The billboard was up and they were gone. I was like, wow, that's
I think we've got to figure out a way to make sure that we can keep the discount carriers.
Yeah.
And obviously it's being done elsewhere. And certainly I think there's opportunities that we can do the same. It's just how we go about making that happen. And I'm not the expert at this point, but by the time it's all said and done, I probably very likely will be.
Yes, I'm sure. The issue of dredge spoils being dumped back into the bay after maintenance of the ship channel is a hot topic, and some believe it is responsible for degradation of water quality in the bay. What's your take on the issue, and what would be your stance as mayor?
I am extremely concerned about that, the dredge material being dumped in bay.
Yeah.
Because I've heard from the oystermen and the fishermen about how it's impacting marine life and suffocating the oyster beds, and we can't afford that. I mean, this is a seafood community we're talking about, the livelihoods of people and the production of seafood from as a big industry in our area.
Yeah.
And so I would be very involved in working with our federal legislators, with the EPA, with the Corps of Engineers, everybody, all the stakeholders involved in trying to figure out how we can get additional funding to look at other options. I know that other states do it. They don't do it this way. This thin layer placement is not done everywhere.
It's not a universal program.
It's not universal. Right. And I know that there are other options. But it's a matter of getting the federal attention to get it done and get the funding to move forward on one of those options, whether it's dumping offshore,
which they used to do,
or living shoreline, or some of the other options that they have.
Other uses.
But we cannot afford to have that industry die on our watch in our community.
Do you think there's a value in perhaps just ending it at this point, the thin layer placement, and it versus, I know we talk about doing studies, but you know how studies go. They take forever. And then we don't necessarily have a real answer sometimes, versus just saying, hey, let's stop it, dump it back offshore, find other ways to do it, and let's see what happens over the course of the next 5 years to the bay. Does that make any sense to you?
It makes sense. Whether it is a feasible option, I don't know, Rob.
Right.
But I think I'm worried. I know this is a 20-year process, and I'm worried. I know that every day that they're out there, it's being dumped. It's causing harm. And now the Corps of Engineers may not agree with that, but there's enough concern out there to make you think that these people know what they're talking about. It's affecting their livelihoods. So I would be working with Senator Britt, Senator Tuberville,
Senator whoever,
whoever our federal legislators are on the congressional and Senate side of things, and push as hard as I can. In fact, I've already brought it up to Congressman Figures, and so he knows that's. I've asked him to please look into that and do some research because they get a lot put before them, but to let him know that it is a major concern for people in this area, and he's promised to do that. So I'm already off running on that one.
Yeah. We'll stick with some water-related issues here. There's an ongoing dispute over the use of Big Creek Lake for recreational purposes. What are your thoughts about fishing and boating in the city's main source of drinking water?
You know, what happened about 3 years ago, Moz came to the county commission because the county had a portion of Howells Ferry Road that led to the boat launch, and said, we have a safety issue there, that we have a single road, and cars, when they launch boats, they're having to back out. They can't turn around.
Okay.
So they're backing out, and that's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked us to consider vacating the road so that they could build a boat wash, and they could build a turnaround so that cars could once they they launch boats or unload to launch, that they could turn around and drive out. And it made perfect sense to us. We're all about improving safety, and that was the issue. So we agreed to vacate it. Nobody ever mentioned at that time that there was that down the road that Moz would want to close access to the lake at that point. So I keep hearing this business, but this was all done in good faith to improve safety. But just let me say that I have been in communication with Bud McCrory and Moz, and they've got Homeland Security reports, and you name it. I think our number one concern, it should be, of course, keeping the water quality good, our water source safe, because that is our primary source of water, municipal water. But, if there is a way that it could be worked out to allow recreational boating and fishing, then I'm all for that. I'm not against people accessing the lake if it does not harm our water supply.
Yeah.
And I think that's a reasonable approach if you think about it.
Right.
Most people, I believe, agree with that.
I think that's probably true. Mm-hmm. Sticking with water here, the city's backup drinking water supply is the Mobile River. Alabama Power plans to bury 21 million tons of toxic coal ash alongside the river in a pond that has already leached toxins into the groundwater. Do you support that plan or oppose it?
I am a proponent of excavating anything out of an unlined pond that's coal ash related, and disposing of it or recycling it. I think they're doing recycling, and I think Georgia Power actually had a Bowen plan, I think it was.
Yeah, and I think they have a plan to do some here as well, but it will take a number of years to actually get it all out of there. But anyway.
I'm as concerned as the next citizen about anything leaching, any kind of poison
toxins or heavy metals and all,
heavy metals or what leaching into the water table and the water supply, and I think that we need to make sure that above all that we keep it safe, and I would support that fully.
So as mayor, I mean, that's one of the things that not very many people in public office have spoken about this, and in fact, I think during this mayoral campaign, this is the most I've heard people who are either running for office or are already in elected office really talk about it. If you're mayor and this kind of continues down a road that you don't think it should continue down, will you speak out about it?
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I'm gonna try to collaborate as best I can to get something done, and you usually get more done with a carrot than a stick, and so that's always my approach. But if one thing doesn't work, there's one thing about me: when something doesn't work, then I'll pivot and I do something else, because I'm determined to get to be successful in the end, whatever it is I'm working on. So,
got you. Brookley by the Bay Park project seems to be moving pretty slowly these days. It looks like it's gotten a little bit of a back burner at this point. What's your take on the park? Where is it? What's a priority? Is it a priority for your administration?
Well, I think that yes, it is. Right now, it's a matter of funding.
Yeah.
I think that's why it was put on the back burner, because of the costs with the Civic Center arena. I think a number of things have been put on the back burner.
Right.
We'll have to evaluate, I guess, when we can do a deep dive on the budget situation and determine how much more that we may potentially have to even put into the Civic Center arena project. I don't know at this point. So that's something that's one of those things that when you get in office, you can evaluate up close, where you are financially on projects, and then you determine how you're going to prioritize those things that are sitting on the back burner. That I wasn't necessarily a part of on the front end, but I have inherited, and they're important to the community, and people want access to the water. This is a very a great project, that offers a lot of recreational amenities to the community, and I think would be excellent in the end. But we've got to determine how we're going to prioritize that and what the cost will be. The costs on projects go up every day that you wait on them to be built.
Well,
I know that for a fact.
Right. That's always seems what happens. And with that one, it just seems like we have a city here that is on a bay, and there's almost no way for anybody to get to it.
Right.
If you don't own property on it, or it's difficult.
That's true. And people love the water. I mean, it's and we all do. I mean, that's why a lot of us are here. So,
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It definitely is. What is your plan for public transportation in the city?
I think what we need to do at this point is develop a long-term, comprehensive, cost-efficient plan that meets the needs of the community. We've had the Wave Transit service, of course, and it's primarily the big bus service.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have to look at a combination of different types of transportation opportunities. I don't think we can completely get away from the big bus, the fixed route, so to speak, because we have high demand areas. What we need to do is have more frequent stops, more frequent routes with these high demand areas. And then the low demand areas, whether we go to smaller vehicles or even look at micro transit, the ride share on demand. So I see what we do in the future is a combination of all these things, looking at routes and depending on where the needs are and how frequent that need. Because if you have to wait too long at a bus stop that's uncomfortable, especially
it's hot or it's raining,
hot, you
or
don't have any,
freezing cold or
exactly.
whatever.
Then you're going to not want to use that mode of transportation. We want people to look at that as a viable option for transportation in our community, and so it's going to take some evaluation on those routes and like I said, a combination of working together with different modes of transportation.
Do you think at this point the way Wave is being run is efficient? Do you think it is the best use of money in the way it's being done currently?
Well, I could only offer an opinion at this because I haven't, like I said, I don't have all the facts in front of me there.
Okay.
But I would say it's gone up quite a bit in the last 4 or 5 years. The cost somewhere like from $4 million to $10 million.
Right, it's about 10.
And I know that things costs have gone up for a lot of things. Now that much, I'm not sure. So I would say it's suspect to me that it's being run the most efficiently that it could be run.
Yeah.
But I would want to look at it before I'd make any kind of final determination.
Understood. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, you've talked about, you spent a good bit of time on the city council in Mobile. You worked with a mayor back then.
Couple of them.
Couple of them. And now you're wanting to go for mayor. How do you view the relationship between a mayor and the city council?
Well, I have been in the position to know how important it is to have a good relationship, have good communication. You're not going to agree on everything with the mayor, and I mean, that's not why the council is there. The council is there to represent their districts, to represent the needs and concerns and opinions and ideas of their district, and so that's what makes it work well, is that you've got people that are coming with different perspectives. Now, sometimes those line up with the mayor's office, sometimes they don't, but it's incumbent on the mayor to be willing to listen and to work and communicate with the council members. And my job as mayor will be to help make them be as successful as they can be in their jobs and in serving the people. And when I do that, and we're all working together
Right.
to get that accomplished, then the city will be the beneficiary of that. And so I actually serve with two of the members of the city council that are seated now.
Yeah.
And I understand, of all people, how important that communication and relationship is. You don't want to be treated like you're there as a rubber stamp. You don't that your opinion doesn't matter, and I know what's best for you. That is not my style of leadership.
I mean, that's often been where the friction comes. It seems like with the council and the mayor is when it feels like when the council particularly feels like the mayor is running over them.
I think that really it makes me unique in this race, having served in that position for 9 years and understanding how important relationships are. And when I say relationships, it's not always agreeing, but it's having respect, cooperation, and being able to collaborate.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about blight and litter. It's an issue here. I think the blight problem is both of these are sort of intractable problems. We've tried to get people to stop throwing garbage out of their cars. It's difficult, but the blight issue certainly is one that lingers and lingers. How do you tackle it?
I don't really fully understand why blight's it's nothing new to the city. It's been happening for a long time, and it seems like it's getting worse.
I would agree with that.
And I would think that maybe, and I don't want to point fingers once again, but how aggressive has the administration really been at addressing blight issues? Because I know they're doing a blighted property registry, and that's just recent. I think that's not, that didn't happen a long time ago. I think that we have got to address it. It is a huge problem. Not only, we see it a lot downtown and the empty storefronts boarded up, that look terrible, and people don't want to necessarily invest in properties nearby because they figure nothing is ever going to be done. I think we have to, first of all, hold property owners accountable for making sure that they're in compliance with code regulations, but with safety. Whether do you have a sprinkler? Is your property sprinkled? Do you have a sprinkler system that's operational?
We saw that huge fire down here near, and it could have easily wiped out a block.
And if you had a storefront next door to that, then yours could have easily burned down too.
Yes.
And so I think that we have to hold those property owners accountable to make sure that they're complying with safety regulations and safety codes. And then, again, a little bit of the carrot, the stick over the stick. If we have property owners that want to make improvements, that are willing to do it, then that just need some additional capital to make that happen. I know the city's office of neighborhood redevelopment, has some federal grant dollars available. Now they may not be enough, but there is something there. And then we also have properties that we're not sure who has clear title.
Right.
They're dilapidated, they're vacant, they're tax delinquent. And I think on those, we need to file quiet title action. And we need to get marketable title on those properties, work with developers and public-private partnerships, and turn them back into either commercial or residential property. And this is a way. This is what we call a high opportunity area, especially for residential. We're trying. We need more residential areas, housing in our community. The chamber says in the next 5 years we need another 1,000 housing units just to meet the needs that we have now. And if we continue to bring people to Mobile, it's only going to grow. So this is an opportunity with this blighted property that we can do something like that. And we see it. And certainly down in the historic areas, midtown areas, there's opportunities there, and it's happening actually now. So, and we, but I think that we have to be more aggressive and proactive in addressing these problems, and I think we have to. We have to. If we're gonna be the city of choice for people, then they don't want to see all this blight.
Well, with litter in particular, carrot or the stick on that one. How do you get people with a carrot and say, please stop littering?
Glad you asked. Have you heard of Love Your Community?
I've heard about it. But,
it is a program that I started in my district, my commission district. It immediately got so popular.
Good.
It's a litter abatement program where you can form teams. You can be a team of 1 or a team of 100 or however many people. But if your team is out doing a number of things, including collecting litter and reporting that, then you can bank hours for the amount of litter that has been collected. And when you reach certain thresholds, then your team qualifies for grants.
Okay.
And of course, it depends on it's based on how many people are involved on your team. I mean, what the requirements are in terms of hours. But we've got hundreds of people doing this right now. And whenever when you reach that threshold, then you cash in those hours, and then you get these grants. But the grant money has to be used for improvements on in public spaces. Beautification, conservation, recycling, any of the things that fit the category of what the funding can be used for. And we have had we've had a tremendous amount of interest in this and people getting involved and a lot of projects that have come about. And in fact, some groups that after they'll commit their money to other groups to combine money to get things done. So it's tremendously successful, and we talk about it everywhere we go. But that is an idea. That was my brainchild, and I'm really proud of it.
Well, good.
But this is a win-win because not only are you getting people interested in picking up litter, but they're getting funding to do projects if they want to, at their school or business, the right of way. If they want to improve beautification, they can use that money to do it.
I think it's great. I think it's a great idea, and I like it. But how do you get people to stop throwing litter? I mean, how do we do that? Is there a nice way to do that?
Well, there's enforcement. The problem is to be able to actually
catch them,
to arrest them, or whatever you give them a citation. I would say is it has to be witnessed by
an officer. Yeah,
and so I think what we do this requires some cultural change. That's one reason when the recycling center was a project of mine.
Yeah. And
I made sure that we put a classroom there because I wanted school groups to come out and learn about recycling and the importance of taking care of the environment. And I know this is just, I don't know that this necessarily moved the needle, but I think it goes back to education. Keep Mobile Beautiful was a great organization that the city partnered with for many years. That partnership has been dissolved. But I think that the benefit there was putting people in classrooms to help educate and talk to young people, because you have to start when people are young to get for them to get the mindset that this is not something that I should be doing to the environment. This causes problems and this goes into our waterways. But see, most people have no clue what happens once they toss it out the window.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of encouragement, carrot and stick, and also the beautification aspect that we're talking about with Love Your Community.
Okay. When you look back at your time as an elected official, is there anything you would do differently or something you think you could have done better?
Oh, let's see. Well,
these always put people on the spot to try to go back through your Rolodex of what you've done, right? But
this is yeah. I mean, there are always challenges and opportunities that maybe you think I should have handled that a little differently, or I maybe wasn't as diplomatic as I should have been. Yeah. But no, I've done the very best that I could do, and tried to be a true benefit to the community, and I've always been truthful. One thing about me that I hope people understand is that I may not always tell you exactly what you want to hear, but I will tell you the truth. And in the end, you're going to find out whether no matter who tells you what, you're going to find out the truth anyway.
Well, that dovetails with the next question I had for you, which is really about transparency and open records. It's an issue that is maybe it's not one that every Mobilian thinks about all the time, but but it's certainly in some administrations in the past, it's been difficult with regard to finding out what's going on. How do you feel about those things as far as being mayor? When difficult questions are asked, if you're mayor, some things are going to happen that maybe don't make you happy. Maybe they don't make you look good. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think you have to be honest. You have to be straightforward with people, and transparent. That's what the public expects of the leadership in this community. And when we are doing our jobs, we're doing it to the best of our abilities, then we should have nothing to hide. There are times when, if you have if some sort of investigation or litigation going on that you may not be able to divulge all of the information at once. But I think in the end that would be the goal, to be transparent with the community.
Okay.
It will be my goal.
Okay. And I had one other thing that I kind of forgot to ask you about. Jail-wise, do you think we need a new jail, the city jail? Or I know it's not the city jail, but do we need to replace the jail, move it? What are your thoughts on that?
I think moving the jail would be upwards of $1 billion.
Really?
Capital project,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah.
I don't see that as feasible.
Really?
I think that we are putting money into the jail to do upgrades in different areas, intake areas, isolation areas, and expanding those. And I think that is absolutely critical that we do that. But right now, barring a lot of federal dollars flowing in, I don't know exactly how we would go about, building a complete. Look at what the state has built and what the money that was put into those. That was a 4,000 bed facility. Ours will be at least a 2,000 bed.
Yeah.
So extrapolate how much that would cost.
Okay. All right.
And now for a difficult one here.
Oh, a what?
A difficult one here.
Okay.
Tell us something about yourself that voters may not know.
Oh, gosh.
I know these kind of questions suck, but we have to ask them.
What is something about me? Let's see. Okay. I played basketball in high school and college.
All right.
Okay. I'm using that one a lot because that's the only thing I can think of.
That's good. That's still a lot, something people might not know.
Yeah, I was on scholarship 2 years in college.
Okay.
I used to be taller. I think I shrunk a little bit. But anyway, it was I enjoyed that thoroughly. In high school, played 4 years. Title IX was approved by Congress back when I was in the 8th grade, and so all of a sudden, girls had more opportunities to do to play sports. And so I said, "Heck yeah, I'm going to join the girls' basketball team."
Right.
And so I did, and ended up having the time of my life. Learned a lot about teamwork, and it was a lot of fun.
That's a good answer. There you go.
Okay.
Well, look, thank you very much. I appreciate your time today, and I hope everybody gets an opportunity to listen to this and make some decisions. And good luck with your race.
Well, thank you very much.
Right,
I appreciate it.
Take care.
Okay.
The Lagnapod is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Some Pulse Sound and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lagnapmobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.